We've also talked about how integrated the Maine economy is with Canada. And Canada's our closest neighbor, our dear friend, and our largest trading partner. And so I have been very concerned, and I know the department and you personally are working very hard on this issue about tariffs on Canadian products. Our lobster, our potatoes, our blueberries are largely processed in Canada and then come back across the border. We have a paper mill in northern Maine, in Madawaska, Maine, whose sister mill is right across the river in Canada. The sister mill in Canada produces the pulp that is piped across the river to the paper mill in Madawaska, Maine. So that's how close the partnership is. 95,000 Mainers are not connected to the New England electric grid. They get their electricity from Canada. I just mentioned these examples. 95% of our refined petroleum products come from Canada. 90% of potash, which is used, the fertilizer for potatoes, comes from Canada. Just to give you a few examples of how integrated our approach is, could you give me a brief update on where we stand with Canadian tariffs?
Sure. So the overriding principle is USMCA. So if the products are actually made in Canada and actually made in the United States, they come back and forth, and it's easy for them to fall under the USMCA, and that has no tariff. No tariff. Things that are outside of that, where companies chose to be outside of those rules, and those rules, as you know, have been in place quite a long time. If they're outside of those rules, then they have a tariff on them. They have the fentanyl tariffs, right? Because we needed to close the border and make sure fentanyl was not coming into the country. And people say, oh, Canada doesn't do much in fentanyl. But if you look at the fentanyl rings in Canada, they're often manned by Mexican cartels. So we needed to shut that. And so those outside of USMCA do pay a tariff, but those inside of USMCA are free of tariff.
Thank you. If you would provide us with a list of which products are under USMCA, that would be very helpful to us. I believe that a lot of the cases that I've mentioned will be under the USMCA.
Correct.
And thus exempt from the tariff. But it would be good to have some certainty in that area. So if we could work with you and your staff to try to get a more definitive list, that would be very
Sure, that primarily comes from USTR, but I will call them and I will have it to you.
Thank
No
you
problem.
so much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.